So I don't really have a good intro for this video, but I just wanted to bring up something that happened the other day when I was flying. It's Friday today, and so usually I try to take Wednesdays off, or I work like a half day on Wednesdays, and those are some of the days I get to go fly. And I have a couple close friends that are very experienced pilots, and if one of them is available and they give me the opportunity to fly with them, I almost always take them up on that. So Tuesday night, um, my brother-in-law reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I want to take you flying tomorrow. I want you to pull up these approach plates for El Monte, and you're going to file a tower en route IFR plan to El Monte. We're going to fly there, and I want you to do the VOR approach circle to land. So just brief the approach, get comfortable with it, and then we're going to talk about it before we fly it. And that's stuff like that is really good practice for me because I get to fly with someone that's really experienced. I mean, he has probably like 15,000 hours, and you learn a lot by flying with people like that. So it's very exciting to me, and I really like doing it. So Tuesday night I looked at everything, looked at the approach plates, got everything kind of ready in my mind. Wednesday we meet, pull the Kodiak out, get it all ready to go. We go over the approach plates. He's asking me about all the different stuff, and just really just helping me be more comfortable and teaching me, because obviously I don't know everything. I haven't been doing this for a long time, and he's a career pilot. So felt really good. We get in the Kodiak, started up, and asked for clearance, tower en route to El Monte, and read back the information correct. They got me into their system. We take off, and the clearance that I had was like, if I remember it right, it was basically go Seal Beach, and then this is out of John Wayne Airport, Seal Beach, and then I think it was like Victor 8, and we're going to take that to the Pomona VOR, and then from the Pomona VOR, I'm going to do the the VOR approach to El Monte. Well, we follow that flight plan, and everything's going, as planned. Controllers keep switching me off. As I get closer to the Pomona VOR, we get switched to this controller who I hear just arguing on the radios with like another pilot. And, I'm just kind of listening in. And then, as soon as he's done, I check in with him, and, he's like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And I said, we're looking to do the VOR approach at El Monte. And he's like, "I need you to make a, left 20 degrees. I need you to do this. I need you to do that." And so I'm following the controller's instructions. And at the same time, there's like one or two other airplanes that are talking to the same controller that are having a hard time with him. Everybody's confused. One guy's yelling at the controller's yelling back at him. Then the controller's yelling at me because I missed the approach and I'm not set up. And, it was really chaotic. And my brother-in-law, Bob, was just kind of sitting next to me. He wasn't really saying anything. He was just watching. And so the controller kept asking me, "Do you have the field in sight?" And now I've never been to El Monte. I've never been to that airport before. So do I know what it looks like from the air? No. If I'm flying into, an airport I've been to, I'm going to at least know what it looks like. But I have no clue what El Monte airport looks like. This is a tiny little airport. So, he's like, "Do you have the field in sight?" And I'm like, "I do. I have a field in sight." But I'm looking at my GPS, and my Garmin is showing El Monte like 10 miles away. And I'm not really certain as to like what the dude is talking about. And he's like upset with me. If you're going too fast, you should slow down because you're missing my directions. And I'm like, "Dude, I'm going like 85 knots and I'm in a Kodiak. I mean, it's not like, I'm not going like 150 knots, 200 knots. I'm going like 85 knots. How much more do you want me to slow down?" And there's another guy on the radios yelling at him. And, he's like, I'm trying to set you up for the approach. I'm trying to give you the VOR approach, but you're not working with me here. And I'm like, dude, like, what do you want me to do? I'm doing what you want me to do. I almost wish there was a way to go back and find the ATC recordings. If somebody has a way to do that and can link that to me, I'd really like to look at that. So I kind of pulled this screenshot up on my phone. I don't have a better way of doing this. I'm not like a video guy, but I want to show you guys basically what the flight plan was. So I was going through here. Now here is the Pomona VOR, and over here where I've made the red box or the red circle is Brackett Field Airport. And so without me really understanding what was going on, the controller had me landing at Brackett Field, and he was trying to set me up for an approach at the wrong airport. And he's asking me, do you have the field in sight? And I'm telling him, I do have the field in sight, but I'm reporting the wrong field in sight because I didn't have El Monte in sight. I had Brackett Field in sight. Now, I should have understood this because on my Garmin, on the GPS, it's literally showing that I'm not at El Monte, and El Monte is, 10 miles away. But I'm so overloaded by the controller just yelling at me and, yelling at the other planes. And it was just a very aggressive situation. I think it was very poor handling by the controller. He didn't even know where I was going. And I don't even know, I haven't even looked up if Brackett Field has a VOR approach, but I was giving him the runway number for El Monte, and it's a different runway number than Brackett Field. And so the controller was completely confused. He was confusing me. Finally, he was like, what do you want to do? And I'm thinking in my head, you know what? I just want to land the airplane because this is too chaotic. And like, I don't even want to talk to this guy anymore. So at that point, I was like, look, I just want to cancel this IFR and I just want to request a visual. And so he said, okay, canceled IFR. We're going to give you a visual, switch to tower. Well, at that point, I switched to El Monte Tower, not Brackett Field Tower. And I made my way over to El Monte's. Again, you can see, this is where I was. And from here, I started going all the way this way to El Monte. And El Monte, the VOR approach, is actually a circle to land. So that's what my brother-in-law wanted to practice with me, was doing a VOR approach with a circle to land. And so here I am, completely lost, completely, getting chewed out by a controller who he actually had no clue what was going on. He was trying to land me at the wrong airport. And I basically got out of there. On my way there, I realized what the controller was doing and that he had screwed up. I had really done nothing wrong. The only thing wrong I did was I allowed him to push me into possibly landing at the wrong airport, at the airport that I wasn't cleared to and the airport that I didn't want to go to. So I continued the approach, did my circle to land, landed at El Monte, pulled off, and kind of took a breather. And I was like, Bob, I have no idea what just happened. Like, I'm not really sure. And I was kind of surprised that he didn't really step in and really say much, but he wanted to see how I was going to handle the situation. He actually understood what was going on right then and there. And he was trying to see how I would respond to the situation and what I was going to do and what my thought process was going to be. And so, we kind of talked about that. And the reason I'm making this video is I've never experienced something like this before. Us as pilots are always listening to the controllers, and we're thinking that the controllers are always right. But just as us as pilots, we're not always right. The controllers aren't either. So in hindsight, looking back, I knew I was not at El Monte and I was 10 miles away. I should have said this to the controller and told him, hey man, I don't have the right field in sight. I have a different field in sight and I'm 10 miles away and looking for a VOR approach to a totally different airport. So, in a learning experience for this is controllers can screw up. Controllers can be wrong. And if you find a controller that's just being super harsh on the radios and just yelling at everybody, that dude's probably not in the right mental space and needs to take a break, or, just chill out for a minute, because controllers shouldn't be acting like that. They should be pretty calm and collected and not yelling at pilots on the radios, and, trying to keep order with things that are going on. And, in hindsight, this controller was completely wrong. And, if we screw up as pilots, what do? They give us, hey, take down a phone number and let's do, all this stuff. Well, us as pilots, like, I don't have his phone number because I'd really like to call him and be like, hey, man, what was up with that? You're screaming at me on the radios as well as other airplanes. And on top of that, you're trying to land me at the wrong field that I was never even cleared to go to per my IFR, flight plan. So, this was a good learning experience for me. Obviously, now I'm going to always remember in the back of my mind that a controller may not be right and what they're telling me may not be correct, and to definitely verify it, because again, I knew that I was far away from El Monte, not there, but the controller is trying to get me to get set up for an approach on the wrong runway to the wrong airport. And, luckily everything worked out. Everything was fine. And it's a good learning experience for me. So I just wanted to put this up. I know I'm doing a couple of these videos where I'm just talking about stuff. We're going to do some flying videos as well. Those are coming along. And we should have some cool content out for you guys with the Kodiak in the next couple of weeks.